And we got 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with the outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 12 noon on this Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Back to school, back to work. Welcome in, everybody. Winter has arrived. We are here in December, high atop State Street, a block off the Capitol Square at the World Headquarters, where Mr. Zommers, it is a chilly Willy. We don't have Willie Justice with us. We don't have any Willie with us. But it is chilly.
It is. Time to start layering. I have a nice shell coat, and so now I've started to wear sweatshirts underneath it because it's cold.
Yes, it's very cold out there. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
I did. I got to spend some time at home with my family and see everybody.
Nice.
Spent a lot of time playing with Gracie, my 6-year-old niece. It was a good time. How about yourself?
Good. A good Thanksgiving week. A busy one. I can't say it was particularly extraordinarily relaxing, but it was good. It was a lot of fun. I was in RC on Thanksgiving Day proper, helping out there, and had a great meal. My sister's family came into town. My cousin Susan from Iowa, so it was a lot of fun. And then Friday, of course, I came back down because my great friend Rob Wheat was very gracious and invited me to the final home Badger football game of the season, the battle for the axe against Minnesota. A good time was had by all. The Richland Center Mafia tailgate crew was out bright and early at 8 o'clock, and you'll be happy to know I was ready to go. Had my coffee brewed, brought a pot of coffee.
No PBR for you?
What? No. I guess along about 10 o'clock or so ish, 9:30, 10. Rob, beautifully done, by the way. Bartending there right in the parking lot outside the Kohl Center, a screwdriver. It was fantastic.
That's a much more appropriate morning beverage.
A little morning, yes. So that gets you up and gets you going, along with the coffee and a great a Mark Schrader, the son of my former colleague at WRCO, the late great Ray Schrader. Mark brought some great breakfast sandwiches, so there was a little fire going. It was actually, I had my LL Bean outerwear on, so I was toasty warm, actually. I wasn't all that cold.
Good.
The game, though, it was frigid. I mean, not the temperature, but just the playing of the Badgers. It was not good at all. Minnesota came in, the Flexters, and took Paul Bunyan's axe from the Badgers. It wasn't even particularly close. I mean, the Badgers only scored one touchdown the entire game. We left with about 8-9 minutes to go in the game in the fourth quarter and went over to Echo Tap. had a couple of beverages over there and just hung out a little bit, which was the better part of the deal in terms of the game. But no, it was fun, the camaraderie, just being around people and hanging out with Rob. So many thanks to him for lugging me along to that. We had a great time there. And then I went back to Richland Center and then came back down to Cross Plains with Mom and my cousin to cut down Mom's Christmas tree at the tree farm there outside of Cross Plains. And then back to Richland Center, and then took care of the outdoor stuff yesterday, and then back. So a lot of driving. There was a lot of the Dodge Ram got a lot of miles, but it was fun, and that's what the holidays are about, because you just think, well, I mean, life is short, and we never know how long any of us is going to be around, so you got to squeeze every drop out of the life of lemon that you can, and we did. And so we had some great food, great conversation, a little relaxation by the fire. So hopefully all you and yours had a great Thanksgiving Day as well. We're back into it now. And, of course, Christmas and Hanukkah right around the corner.
Right around the corner, indeed. It all goes so fast.
It does go so very fast. Lots to get to today. But I want to start off today, the 2nd of December. Happy birthday, Mr. Aaron Zommers. Appreciate you. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
don't have any of those toys over on this side, so I can't.
I figured you'd do something,
Mhm.
probably the applause, but
Right.
I did that
That's
instead.
fine. Ripe old age of
26.
26. today.
Luckily, my birthday's at the beginning of the month, so I now have the rest of the month to figure out insurance, which our own HR director, Jacqueline, has been incredibly helpful with so far and set
She's
me on
the
the path
best.
because I have some complicated stuff to figure out
Yeah.
with that. And she is setting me on the right path to get it figured out by the end of the month.
Well, fantastic. Oh, Jacqueline is the absolute best. We appreciate her so very much. Appreciate you, Mr. Sommers. Any big plans for today?
Well, no. I might go to the nitty gritty since, it's the birthday bar.
Right.
I've never been there. And
Oh,
I have
really?
a gift card from our own Luke Mathers from a previous event. Not actually a birthday present,
Right.
but it would fit.
Well, go because you get a commemorative mug, and then you
Ooh.
can drink whatever you want all day long out of that mug, free.
I might have to go.
And
you know?
get yourself a gritty burger with the gritty sauce.
I don't plan on going crazy drinking on a Monday night, but
No, but I mean, just a beverage.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with
a
that.
free beverage,
A
I'll
free
take it.
beverage, yeah. Absolutely. So a little nitty gritty. Your roommates going out with you or what?
One of them is still back at home in Illinois. We don't hold it against him. But the other one would if I say we're going to go to the nitty gritty.
Well, you should absolutely do it.
I'll go.
All right, sounds good. Andrew watching in Maine on YouTube says, my Thanksgiving included 3 hours of moving 8 to 10 inches of snow. Yes, the Northeast got hit. Watched a little bit of the Buffalo game, San Francisco last night up there in Buffalo, and they got 2 feet of snow in Buffalo, and it looked like a snow globe out there, but it was a lot of fun to watch if you didn't have to be sitting out there or playing in it last night. So, Andrew, glad you got some snow moves. But anyway, happy birthday, Aaron. Appreciate you. And here's to another crazy trip around the sun.
Yeah, here we go.
All right, very good. We'll have more on that with Zommers a little bit later on in the show. If you'd like to join us, 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Glad to be back live with you here at the World Headquarters on a Saturday. And so here's the deal. I'm doing this show, by the way. I left my MacBook Pro 2 years doing this show. I've never done this. I had a video call this morning with our own Luke Mathers from home. And I don't know why. This is where my mind is at. And I ended up leaving my laptop on my desk at home and coming into work. And so Luke, God love him, he finds a PC laptop to help me through today's show. And that's lovely. And I appreciate it. The thing is, it's like, having an automatic and someone says you could borrow my stick shift car and you're like, I can get there, but it's going to take me a minute. So
Yeah, it can't confirm. He's never forgotten his computer. Even when it was broken, he went out and bought a new one rather than not having one.
I know. And this is my first time in 2 years. But anyway, always a first time for everything. But thank you to Lukester for setting me up. We'll get through this. Lots to get to today on this Monday, December 2nd. Kind of catch up on things happening over the weekend. Donald Trump nominating Kash Patel, better known as Kashmir McLeod Patel. No, not really. Kashmir McLeod is a character in primary college. Kash Patel, bit of a controversy, very controversial nominee. We'll talk about that. Also, President Joe Biden, after saying during the campaign that he would not pardon his son Hunter, switched that up yesterday and announced he will pardon his son Hunter Biden. Talk about that a little bit. Ben Wickler, chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, yesterday threw his hat into the ring for the Democratic National Committee chairman to run the Democratic Party nationally. We'll hear what Ben had to say in his announcement yesterday. And of course, the Badger lost. They lose the Axe over the weekend. And talk about college football is a bit of a mess this weekend. Michigan, unranked, went into the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio, and beat second-ranked Ohio State, knocked them out of the Big Ten championship game. And then Michigan tried to, they call this planting their flag. So they have like their school flag on a plastic pole. And they go out in the middle of the field. Of course, most of these fields are artificial now, artificial turf. And they tried to plant the flag in the artificial turf. Well, that ticked off the Ohio State boys, and there was a melee. And actually, pepper spray was used by the Ohio State police on a couple of the Michigan State play or the Michigan players.
gosh.
Yes, the Michigan players. Both schools have been fined a couple of $100,000 over this. And then the same thing happened against North Carolina State and North Carolina, trying to plant flags. I mean, what does this come to? I mean, it's ridiculous. So, going to debate all of that. Also, a what's worse for you coming up in hour 2 as well. Oh, Donna says it's pronounced Cash Patel.
Yes, it is.
All right,
I was going to mention that later, but
Well, what did I say? Patel?
yes.
Patel, tomato.
Todd, Toad.
Right. Yeah. Lots of things. By the way, lots of things you could call Cash Patel, and Patel is the nicest one of them. Let's go to the phone lines, 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Kathy, listening in Madison. Kathy, thanks for calling in. Let's see.
Well, hi. I just called in to wish Aaron a happy birthday, and
Great.
also to mention that Aaron Rodgers turns 41 today as
Really?
well.
And it's Britney Spears' birthday.
And Britney Spears. Aaron has the list in front of him,
That is great.
That's pretty much it. I was surprised to hear that somebody saying that they were going to keep Coach Fickle or Fickel, however you say his name,
Right?
for give him another year, give him another chance. But and
Well, I mean,
he,
what do you?
also thought
Go ahead.
that perhaps it's the college or Madison. I'm in Madison,
Yeah.
and I know it's such a big drinking town. I have a feeling. I wonder how much the Badgers, drink or don't drink, etc. And as to why they suck so bad.
Well, I don't think
anyway.
I think the players by and large have given it their all this last couple of years. I just think it's
They're
very
doing what?
hard. I think the players are giving it their all. I think they're working hard.
Oh,
I think it
you
comes
think
down.
so?
I do. I mean, I don't think there's hardly any players who are like, I'm just going to mail this in. I think it's very difficult when you completely change the identity of a program for those guys that stuck around, and for the new ones coming in trying to integrate into that. I think that's a high task to ask of any young student athlete.
Sure.
And I think it comes down to
suppose.
the top. I think it comes down to the coaching.
Yeah.
And I agree with
Well,
you.
yeah.
I would like to see a change, but there are like 33 million reasons, meaning Luke Fickle's salary,
guess.
why he will probably get another year. So we'll
I
see.
suppose he's got a contract of some sort
Yeah.
or
No,
whatever.
yeah.
You have to
Absolutely
give
has
away
a
money
contract.
if he.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks,
Well,
Kathy. Appreciate
have a good
you.
day. I enjoy your show, and happy birthday again, Aaron. And
Thank you very much.
26. And compared to old man Rogers, hey, you're just a Ute.
That's right, a Ute. Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate you. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Mark in Prairie du Sac is up next. Your phone calls as well. We celebrate Mr. Zommers on his birthday and Aaron Rodgers as well. RELAX. Relax. It's the Allbaugh Show.
His one piece of good advice.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
When you're having computer problems, you need a company you trust to get things working again.
I missed my own
Quickly
birthday
and
party this
affordably.
morning.
Madison Computer
What?
Works has been doing that
Not
for
exclusively
business
mine,
and
but Pat
residential
Kreitlow
customers for
had
decades.
a
Our
birthday party for all of us
computer
December
care
2nd.
Really?
There's a whole bunch of people in the company. Brittany Merlot, Chad Holmes.
Today?
Yeah. Who else was it?
Our local and friendly techs provide
Dr.
remote
Kristen
help
Wiley
and
or whatever, but he
fix
had
most
it this
problems
morning,
in just
but
minutes.
I slept
Call
like a rock
608
until like 10.
231
And I was
Sign
like,
up today.
oh man, I
Madison
missed
Computer
everything.
Works. Computers that work for you.
This is Chad Spade. Are you thinking about improving your home?
I don't know if you're
Chad's
watching
Design
on
Build,
the
we're proud to
line
offer remodeling
or
done
on
well
the
with love.
stream,
And our
Lynn, in
commitments
a
to you and
Conowalk,
your home
but she
convey
sent a
that love
selfie
and
with
spell our
Ben
name.
Wickler.
The
It's a
Chad's
very nice picture.
experience is
Well, look at
structured to
that, Lynn.
provide
Nicely
excellent
done.
And also just
communication,
reflections
honesty,
on,
accuracy, detailed proposals, and satisfied customers.
Ben
We're
and
also committed
Joe
to making your
Pardoning,
home comfortable,
his son, and all
healthy,
that good
stuff.
attractive,
All right, we'll
durable,
talk
and
about it.
sustainable. If you want a quality remodel and a quality remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
Attention.
If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 608-384-0897. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates.
Thank you, Jeff.
Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy,
Jeff
you
Perry
may
checking
request
in.
a free consultation
Jerry
by
Perry.
calling QC Kinetics.
Oh, baby, baby, I did it again. I played with your heart, got lost in the game. Oh, baby, baby, you think I'm in love?
Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 21 now past the hour of 12 noon on Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Britney Spears, the birthday girl, celebrating with our own Aaron Zommers. As they say in The Price is Right, come on down. Later on this afternoon, Britney Spears, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Zommers, celebrating along with... It's a big birthday day. I did not realize this, Zommers. We have other Civic Media colleagues who share your birthday.
Yes, we do. Brittany Merlot, one of our meteorologists. Happy birthday, Brittany.
Happy birthday, Brittany.
Chad Holmes, the great Chad Holmes of
Yes.
the Chad Holmes Show. Happy birthday.
Chad, the Swiss Army knife of Civic Media, Chad Holmes, does it all up there in Wausau. Happy birthday, Chad Holmes.
Not a Civic Media employee, but Dr. Kristen Wirely. Happy birthday to you.
Dr. Kristen Wirely, who, she's a part of our family here. The incomparable Dr. Kristen Wirely. Happy birthday, Dr. Wirely. That's fantastic.
There may be others that I'm missing off the top of my head, but this morning I missed my own birthday party because Pat Kreitlow of Up North News Radio at the beginning of his first hour invited all of us to come on and celebrate, and I slept like a rock until
Did you really?
10 a.m., which was I missed too much. So
Well,
if
you
you're
know.
listening, Pat, sorry about that, and everybody else, but happy birthday to all of you folks.
You needed to catch up on your sleep.
Yeah, I guess so.
22 past the hour of 12 noon, 855-752-4842. Got to catch it up on the weekend news here, going through a bunch of the headlines for you. Invite you to join in. Mark from Prairie du Sac listening in. Mark, happy December to you, my friend. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. What say you?
Yeah, I certainly did. The day before Thanksgiving, I got a nice doe.
Oh, great. Congrats.
So venison there, and that she just collapsed when after I squeezed the trigger. So that's always good when they just click
Yes.
clean.
No suffering.
You
Yeah.
know, no suffering at all. She just folded. It is just it was wonderful to get out in the woods there and talk to my chickadee friends when I hang my little bird feeder up there, and they come and visit me all day, and but it's just nice to get out in the woods, and we had some snow up there this year finally. For partway into once we got into the season, I think the second or third morning we had snow on the ground. Got kind of damp there because it was wet, heavy snow kind of thing. But it was nice to be out, and roads were. I came back on Friday, and the traffic was fairly light, and it's just nice to be back and trying to get back in the loop and try not to get depressed about the corrupt picks that Trump is going to have for his cabinet. It just is amazing that some of these people that you'd think Trump could be able to find somebody better than this, and he's just picking people that were loyal to him. And once again, I've said before, the fealty is supposed to be to the country and to the Constitution, not to Donald Trump. That's what Donald Trump is supposed to have. His fealty is to the people, not himself. And for a lot of MAG out there, they don't care. I think that Trump is free to do whatever Trump wants to do because he has they claim he has a mandate. Well, if Trump has a mandate, then Joe Biden should have had a mandate with his more thumping victory over Trump back in 2020. But of course they say, well, Trump didn't really lose, that it was all faked and they stole the election from him. And Kash Patel of the FBI guy is one of the guys that promoting that kind of theory, and it is just, the truth is definitely not with Donald Trump. I mean, that is something else.
Yeah. Appreciate the call, Mark. Thank you so very much. 855-752-4842. Let's talk about this a bit. Kash Patel, Donald Trump's pick to lead the FBI, is an ardent supporter of the president-elect, has vowed to help dismantle the same organization he's poised to lead. And to Mark's point, this gets into something I've talked about before on this show, and I get it. I'm more than a little biased because I spent many years working for either the House of Representatives in Washington or here in Madison mostly, and then also in the state legislature in the U.S. or the Wisconsin State Senate. And I saw firsthand when good people are elected to these institutions, when they're run by good people. And here's the thing about institutions. And when I say institutions, I mean some of the foundational tenets of our state and country. The Wisconsin State Senate, the Wisconsin State Assembly, the Legislative Fiscal Bureau, Congress, the Supreme Court. They're institutions that were set up foundationally in the Constitution. And they're not meant particularly to move quickly. I mean, on the federal government side, the reason we elect our U.S. senators every 6 years, or a third at a time, is to slow down the reaction, and that's why the U.S. House of Representatives is all up every other year. They're supposed to be the reactionary body of what's going on at the time, and the Senate is supposed to be the more deliberative body that takes a longer view approach. That's in theory at least how it was set up. But look at the Wisconsin State Senate, which I spent a lot of time working in. Yes, you have the Republicans, the Democrats, and the leaders of both sides. But ask anybody who knows anything about state government, who for years has run the place, has kept it consistent. And the name Donnie Schneider will come up. He was the Senate chief clerk for years. And after him, Rob Marchant. These are the people and the people that work under them that never change. They don't, I shouldn't say never, but rarely. They're not partisan. They're there to protect the institution, to bring consistency to our government. And yes, you can argue and debate, well, it doesn't always work efficiently. There are places that we can improve it. Absolutely. But it brings consistency to our government and our way of life. And now Trump is appointing people like Kash Patel to lead the FBI, who wants to dismantle it. He's a former public defender, widely viewed as a controversial figure, and one whose value to the president-elect largely derives from their shared disdain for established power in Washington. Putting him in charge of the FBI would require forcing out current director Christopher Wray, who, by the way, was appointed by Donald Trump in 2017. His 10-year term expires in 3 years. And it's a move that's already prompted bipartisan criticism. Come back, let you hear Kashmir Patel in his own words. Take your phone calls, talk about Biden pardoning his son, and Ben Wickler running for DNC chair. All that more on a Monday on the Todd Allbaugh Show. And Aaron Sommer's birthday, and Britney Spears and more on the Civic Media Urban Network.
I meant to wear my Britney Spears shirt today, but honestly, I forgot it was my birthday.
What? How can you forget it's your birthday?
I forgot when I was getting dressed.
Oh, okay.
I didn't just entirely forget.
Civic Media on
Until you
Facebook,
arrived. Oh, yeah.
and Instagram.
After its own presidential election, will Mexico stand by its decision to stop buying genetically modified corn? Almost all of the corn produced here in the U.S. is biotech corn, and Mexico is our #1 buyer. I'm Stephanie Hoff for the Midwest Farm Report, and we'll talk more about it with Rabobank next.
Can you predict the future? I can't. That's why when I'm planting soybeans, I treat with Heads Up seed treatment. With more than 15 years of research, Heads Up offers proven protection against both white mold and sudden death syndrome. So no matter what the year throws at you, you've already taken that first step to be prepared. Don't let your beans suffer from disease when they're just starting to look their best. Tell your seed dealer you need Heads Up seed treatment. Learn more at headsupst.com.
Did you see his statement on the pardon?
Andrik Payen joins us. He's a grains analyst with Rabobank and Rabo Research. He says Mexico just had its own presidential election, and the administration is not likely to change its course on no longer buying genetically modified corn for human consumption.
I think the current administration in Mexico will continue to push for non-GMOs. It's a matter of where we're using or where Mexico is using that corn, right? A lot of the case that it's been made is that they don't want GMO corn for human consumption, but technically a lot of what Mexico imports is actually for animal feed. So the big question is, are we getting, that conversation in the table or not? And how are we expressing that to farmers in the U.S. or Mexico?
This trade dispute, a little bit of an unknown as the U.S. also transitions to a new president. Andrik Payen joins us, a grains analyst with Rabobank and Rabo Research. Stick around for a look at our midday commodity prices coming up next.
Spain and Portugal. That's where we're headed next. Fabulous Farm Babe Pam Yankee inviting you to join us April 5th through the 17th for our Ranches and Royal Palaces tour. We'll start in Portugal, where we'll visit a stud farm and witness the process of creating cork. Then on to Spain, where we'll visit an Iberian pig farm and an olive grove. Find out more at holidayvacations.com, keyword Pam, for more information and to watch a travel show. Or call 888-557-1020 for a brochure.
Monday from Chicago, grain markets are mixed. Cash corn is up a penny at $4.34 a bushel. December 2025 new crop corn is up 1/4 cent at $4.31 3/4. Cash soybeans are down 8 cents at $9.81 1/2, and November 2025 new crop soybeans are 9 cents lower at $10.01 3/4. Cash wheat is up 2 1/4 cents at $5.50 1/4, and July 2025 new crop wheat is up 1/2 cent at $5.64 1/4. And Class 3 milk contracts are trading lower. January milk down 7 cents at $18.18 a hundredweight, and February milk down 6 cents at $18.55. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Stephanie Hoff.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Mostly cloudy with a few flurries this morning, gradually becoming partly cloudy by later this afternoon. Our high today 29, the wind northwest at 5 to 15. Tonight 17, tomorrow partly cloudy 29 on Wednesday, mostly cloudy, breezy with light snow and a high in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently it's 21.
Do you know or work with kids who have special healthcare needs? Help them live their best lives. Contact Wisconsin Wayfinder Children's Resource Network. Our specialists will connect you with services in your area. Wisconsin Wayfinder is free and confidential. Call 877-947-2929 or visit dhs.wi.gov/WISCWAY. Connect today. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
The John and Gordy Show.
Thanks, Joe, for giving us a call this morning.
I'm really not concerned about a trans woman being in the bathroom. Mike Johnson puts this through, right? But then he says the person who's in charge of enforcing this will be the sergeant at arms. You weenie. You absolute weenie. You put this through and then you dump the enforcement on somebody else. Are you kidding? Are we really spending time on this?
20 seconds.
Weekday morning, 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMD.
Welcome back
Baby,
to the top.
can't you see?
Sorry, I interrupted.
She wasn't ready yet. Now she is.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 34 minutes now past the hour of 12 noon on this Monday, December 2nd. Sommer continues to play his birthday cohort music here on the show. Is that more Brittany? How long is this thing on? Are we on the air?
Yes, sorry. I was trying to find the end spot of the song.
It's fine. It's no big deal. Which one? I'm not sure.
Sorry, that's Toxic. That's probably my favorite Britney Spears song.
Really?
It's just so catchy.
It is. It's a catchy little tune. Absolutely. Before we move on, I did want to bring up this. This broke a couple hours ago. I should have mentioned it at the top of the show, but we had Zomer's birthday to talk about. Former Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice David Prosser has died at the age of 81. Prosser served 18 years on the state's highest court and was previously Assembly Speaker before that. Governor Tommy Thompson appointed Prosser to the Supreme Court in 1998. He was elected to a 10-year term on the bench in 2001 and 2011 before stepping down in 2016. According to Chief Justice Annette Ziegler, in a statement this morning, she said, on behalf of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, I express our profound gratitude to Justice Prosser for his decades of service and his unwavering dedication to justice, fairness, and the betterment of Wisconsin. Assembly Speaker Robin Voss also commented today on Prosser's death, writing in a statement, quote, Dave committed his life to serving others and finding solutions to improve our state. He was an exemplary leader and an inspiration to us all. Again, David Prosser dead at 81. Complicated guy would be my take on that. Knew him tangentially, met him a few times. An awkward man. I think awkward is a good way to describe him. Never seemed to be really truly comfortable in his own skin. Someone who rose to the position of Assembly Speaker, but was never great at glad-handing or retail politics in particular. A good thinker, I would say, a good strategist. And again, a guy who, if you apply David Prosser to the time when he was Assembly Speaker to what we have today as a current MAGA Republican Party, the two just don't match up by and large. And once he got on the Supreme Court, that's when the guy, in my opinion, kind of changed. And I'll have to find it here. Remind me, Zombers, I'll try to find it during our break. There was a story several years ago. I think it was in ProPublica, but it could have been The Guardian. It was either ProPublica or The Guardian. And it was a profile piece on Scott Walker and Act 10 and David Prosser. And to this day, it remains one of the most well-written, well-researched, in-depth, revealing articles of journalism I've ever read. The authors did quadruple checking of their facts and research. And it was one of these articles that every so often that you literally had, they should have been broken up, into several series or something. It probably took me, I can't remember off the top of my head now, a good 2 to 3 hours to get through this because it was so nuanced. You had to just stop, occasionally look up a word, digest it, because it really you had to force yourself through some of this stuff. But what made it so interesting, and having known several of these people in the article and knowing it to be true, David Prosser did not want to run his last time when he ran for re-election to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And this article uncovers that the powers that be within the Wisconsin Republican Party basically said, no, you're running. Because the whole thing was they needed David Prosser to be on the Supreme Court to make sure that Scott Walker never got held liable for his actions leading up to Act 10. And they forced David Prosser, who probably wasn't in position to run again, to run, and he won. And of course, towards the end of his term, it ended very unceremoniously when he literally attacked liberal Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Ann Walsh Bradley in their chambers around the neck. The guy just lost it. And so I think he was a very conflicted person. Yes, like all of us, there's good and bad. But a complicated guy, a guy in his own way who I think at the beginning of his career certainly wanted to do the best for Wisconsin, but got caught up in the machinery of Wisconsin Republican politics. And very sad ending to what parts of were a good career. So David Prosser dead at the age of 91. Pardon me. Check that. 81. Want to get back to this Kash Patel character. And again, Trump has nominated him to be the head of the FBI. The current director, Christopher Wray, was appointed by Trump in 2017. So Trump will have to fire his own appointment to get this new guy, Patel, in.
Well, that's something he's no stranger to doing.
Well, that's true. And, of course, the FBI director also has to be confirmed by the Senate, where members are already bracing how they'll navigate a slew of unorthodox Trump selections. Let's give you a couple of takes on this guy, Kash Patel. Here's Kashmir, that's his full name. I know it goes by Kash. Kashmir Patel, in his own words, from a few years back on his view then of the FBI.
I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice.
So there you go. Kash Patel, who Trump has nominated to be the head of the FBI, saying he wants to basically shut down the main parts of the FBI, and that is going to use the institution to come after the media. And again, he is repeating false information, lies that somehow the 2020 election was rigged or stolen, which it was not. It's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. And saying that they're going to use the FBI to go after, quote unquote, these people. This should scare the bejesus out of anyone who cares about the Constitution and the rule of law. And you say, well, Todd, I mean, sure, now you're a former Republican. You've got an axe to grind here. What do you know? All right, fair. So don't take it from me. Take it from Donald Trump's own MAGA Republican former Attorney General Bill Barr. Bill Barr served as Attorney General under Donald Trump. In his new book, Bill Barr talks about thwarting Trump's attempt then to make Kash Patel the deputy FBI director. Reading now directly from Bill Barr's book. Listen to this. Bill Barr, MAGA Republican Attorney General to Donald Trump. Quote, the president then started advancing the idea of appointing Kash Patel as deputy FBI director. Patel, who was completing a stint as deputy to acting director of national intelligence, Rick Grinnell, had been a staffer to Congressman Devin Nunes, who had served briefly on the NCS, National Security Council staff at the White House under Trump. I categorically opposed making Patel deputy FBI director. I told Mark Meadows, I'll step away to Mark Meadows was chief of staff to Trump at the time. Back to what Bill Barr wrote. Quote, I told Mark Meadows it would happen, quote, over my dead body, unquote. In the first place, all leadership positions in the Bureau, except the director, have always been FBI agents. They're all gone through the same training and have had broad experience in the field and at headquarters. Someone with no background as an agent would never be able to command the respect necessary to run the day-to-day operations of the Bureau. Furthermore, Patel had virtually no experience that would qualify him to serve at the highest level of the world's preeminent law enforcement agency. The Bureau already had an exceptionally able deputy, David Bowditch, whom I had total confidence. He was a strong leader with high integrity. He was indispensable as far as I was concerned. The very idea of moving Patel into a role like this showed a shocking detachment from reality, unquote. The words of former United States Attorney General Bill Barr, Attorney General under and to Donald J. Trump. So let's be very clear. This is not the left calling out the nomination of Patel. This is the right. This is the Attorney General under Donald Trump calling it a shocking detachment from reality, unquote, to nominate this guy as the deputy director. And now Trump wants to put him in as director of the FBI. Not to mention, of course, how he singles out that clip we played for you to come after the media. And we've talked about this a lot on this show. And we'll continue to do that. Because it's something, as a person in the media, I'm a little interested in this. The fact that the United States government is now, at least they're telegraphing under the new Trump administration, that they intend to use the powers of the federal government to come after media. Not because they've broken some sort of FCC violation. Not because of criminal wrongdoing or financial malfeasance. But because they don't like what they're saying. And they're basing it on proven lies. The 2020 election was not stolen. It was not rigged. That has been proven. But now the guy who Trump wants to lead the FBI says they're going to take those unproven lies and use them as reason to legally go after media to silence them. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to Gene in Eau Claire. Gene, thanks for calling in. About a minute and a half. What do you got for us?
Well, first of all, I want to say happy birthday, Aaron. You do a great job, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Listen to you every day. So, anyway, people really need to look at these things and stop watching Fox News, for heaven's sakes, because they've been sued in the past for spreading lies, and they never do anything negative on their hero. Because if they didn't have Donald, they wouldn't have you guys watching their show. So anyway, people really need to look at these people. They have to have experience. Hey, this is our security within our country. Folks, if you have somebody that commits a crime against you, you need experienced FBI people. And you also need people there who are not biased, who only work for one man, who need to protect your families. This is intelligence. Wake up, folks. This is no joke. This is no game. This is serious business. I've been watching for years. I've been watching live when they have meetings and conferences and read all the court records. This is serious stuff, folks. You need to have your voices heard and call in and say, hey, I voted for you, but I don't agree with this kind of thing. Study it. Learn it. We're not lying here. Right. This is real, folks. Thank you very much for all the work you're doing here and educating people, because I agree with you 100%. I watched what happened in our state here, and I watched through our country here, and it's not a pretty sight, and we all got to work together instead of nailing each other. Have a good day, guys, and keep up the great work. Bye.
Hey, thank you, Gene. Really appreciate it. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. We'll continue on more of this discussion. L.A. Tom is next from the West Coast. Your phone calls as well. Talk more about the current events and celebrate Zomer's birthday with music like this right here on the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Station 92.7 WMDX.
Harbor Freight knows tool people like to keep busy. But with our Black Friday sale now through Monday, you'll want to free up some time. We're talking deals like our 5,000-watt generators under $800, 17-foot reach ladders for $99.99, and 40% off Icon Pro socket sets. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until 12/2/24. While supplies last. Limitations apply.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 608-384-0897. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 608-384-0897. That's 608-384-0897.
Tons of glass artists share the same passion for eye-catching art as Ignite Glass and
30
Gifts.
seconds.
So we're showcasing their work alongside our talented local artists and our in-house Ignite artists. The latest techniques, the hottest colors, and mind-blowing designs are here for you to enjoy. Madison's favorite for glass, gifts, and vape. Ignite Glass and Gifts.
Superstar, where you from? How's it going? I know you got a clue what you're doing. You can play brand new to all the other chicks out here, but I know what you are, baby. Look at you.
Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is 9 before the hour of 1 o'clock. Coming up in hour number 2. More of your phone calls. We'll continue on talking about Joe Biden pardoning his son Hunter last night. Ben Wickler running for the Democratic national chairmanship position. A little bit more on the Wisconsin Badger football team. What will this all mean? Losing the Axe to Minnesota broke their 22-year streak of going to bowl games, streak of having a winning record. And your phone calls as well. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Spending a lot of time talking about this appointment of Kash Patel to lead the FBI by Donald Trump over the weekend, getting lost in the fray. And see, this is the pattern, right? It's the fire hose of information. What that means is, like if you have a garden hose in the summer, right? You might turn it on, water the flowers or whatever, and then it's hot. And if you grew up like I did, you put the garden hose out there and you take a cold drink of water right out of the hose. Gives you a little, helps your immune system a little bit. Nothing wrong with that.
But a fire hose?
But a fire hose, you try to open up the fire hose and then put that up to your face and you just rip your face off. Too much pressure, you understand? You can't do it. There's so much water coming out, you can't deal with any of it. And so when we use the phrase, it's a fire hose of information here, it means that Trump is putting so many things out there so quickly that you can't keep track of it all. And so lost in the Kash Patel a nomination and the Joe Biden pardon was the fact that Donald Trump named his son-in-law's father. Remember Jared, his son-in-law? The well-kept husband of Ivanka? Jared Kushner's father, Charles Kushner. Oh, yes, we're going up to New England to summer with the Kushners, Charles Kushner. By the way, talking about pardons, Trump pardoned Charles Kushner back in 2020. Well, Trump just nominated this guy to be ambassador to France, one of our most trusted and long allies, most important allies. Charles Kushner, ambassador of France. Kushner, this guy is the one, he hatched a scheme. It involved a prostitute to entrap his brother-in-law and eventually pleaded guilty to tax evasion and making illegal campaigns donations. So this guy hired a prostitute to seduce his own brother-in-law, made a videotape of it, and showed it to his sister. This is the kind of guy this guy is. I only wish Matt Flynn was on the air with me right now. because I can't wait to hear what he would say.
Oh, he'd have something real funny
Right?
to say about it, I'm sure.
Remember Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey? He was a federal prosecutor. He prosecuted this guy, Charles Kushner. And Chris Christie said it was, quote, one of the most loathsome, disgusting crimes, unquote, he had ever prosecuted as a U.S. attorney. And Trump nominates this guy to be the ambassador of France. 855-752-4842. Let's go out to the West Coast. L.A. Tom in Los Angeles. Tom, thanks for listening. What's say?
Hey, Todd. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say that, one, I am a proud Franklin Delano Roosevelt Democrat, and I believe in the New Deal, and I believe in the Second Economic Bill of Rights. I recommend everyone read it because I think that's what the Democrats should be running on. And second, I don't know if we'll agree on this next point, but Ronald Reagan got his dream come true. But he should have said the worst words in the English language is, I am here from the Republican government, and I'm here to help you.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and I don't totally disagree with you. I think there's common ground to be had on that. I mean, in my hindsight being 2020, I mean, Reagan was the first campaign ever volunteer. I was too young to vote, but volunteered on. I think at the time that there were parts of the Reagan campaign and presidency that were good for America. Talking about American exceptionalism, giving people faith, restoring American identity to some degree. But yes, trickle-down economics.
You know, it was
World
AIDS Day the other day.
What?
You know, it was World AIDS Day the other day, and we know what he did for people in the gay community as well.
That's a whole nother. Again, I think that what people knew about HIV and AIDS in 1981, 82 versus what we know in 2024 was very different. And again, whether it was staged, whether it was real, I don't know. But Nancy Reagan was the first predominant person to pick up a child with AIDS, to hold it in her arms and say, look, I mean, we have to show love and empathy to everyone. We could go back and put current information
I get it.
into other people's. But yes, but I think the point that you make here, that Reagan, I mean, look, part of it was a campaign line. And it was a great campaign line, by the way, that, I'm here for the government. I'm here to help. The government isn't the solution, it's the problem. Because
listen to your problems. It is the problem.
Right. Because I think that there are, and based on my service, both state and federally, there are times when government does overstep. I mean, I'll tell you a very quick, when I was working for Dale Schultz, there was a person who had bought land in a development up by, I was Castle Rock Lake or somewhere. And a cattail started to grow in the middle of this lot that had already been developed and sold. And the Wisconsin DNR wanted to stop these people from building a retirement home for a cattail. And
is that local government or federal government?
That's state government. And so it was state government. And so, there are cases where government oversteps, but does government have a responsibility to help bring people to an equal starting line to help those less fortunate? Yes, I totally think that's true. Appreciate it, Tom. Thanks for the call. Always a good one. 855-752-4842. Back with more on the other side. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show on Zommer's birthday on the Civic Media. Ready to know.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. John Peterson and Gordy Young.
On our next show, we'll find out about the Sugar River Pizza Company.
And we'll find out about Giving Tuesday from the Dane County Humane Society.
The John and Gordy Show, weekday mornings 6 till 8.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us. This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A civic media station.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Republicans reacting after President Biden pardoned his son Hunter in a surprise announcement Sunday, stretching over 10 years. ABC legal analyst Dan Abrams.
There is an argument that he could have done something much more limited, granting him clemency. That would have meant the convictions stand, but with regard to a sentence, he doesn't get any jail time. There is no sentence.
President-elect Trump calling the Hunter Biden pardon a, quote, abuse and miscarriage of justice. Israeli-American soldier Omer Maxim Nutra, believed to be in Gaza, now confirmed by the IDF to have been killed in the original October 7th attack by Hamas. It's not even officially winter yet, and yet winter storm dumping feet of snow in some areas around the Great Lakes. Wild weather, even by Buffalo, New York standards. Mayor Christopher Scanlon.
Used to the snow coming in. What we are seeing now is larger storms than we've seen in the past.
Carmaker Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares resigning amid falling sales. This is a
local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
We have our wires crossed.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. The head of Wisconsin's Democratic Party is now vying to lead it on the national scale. Ben Wickler announced he's running for chair of the Democratic National Committee. He's been the chair of WisDems for 5 years. In that time, he's raised more than $200 million, believed to be the most of any chair of a state party. He faces a crowded competition, which includes the head of Minnesota Democrats, a former Maryland governor, and a New York state senator. Meanwhile, crime victims in Dane County would have more access to information about their offenders under a new proposal. 2 county supervisors have introduced a resolution to partner with a company called Victim Notification and Information Every Day. People will be able to log on to one system to see updates on their court case, status of their offender, like whether they're in custody and where, and resources. Deputies already give victims this information directly. They get it from an automated system, and then they have to pass it along to the victims. Sheriff Calvin Barrett says through this system, victims wouldn't have to rely on law enforcement for updates. Instead, they'd have all that information at their fingertips and would get automatic alerts. The program would cost about $300,000. This year, 3,000 people across Dane County were signed up for victim notifications. And a federal civil rights complaint has been filed against the Waukesha School District, joining a growing number of districts statewide facing filings because advocates say their policies harm queer students. Stuart J. Waddles reports.
LGBTQ plus advocacy groups Fair Wisconsin and G-Safe made the filing. It's in response to policy changes in the district that mandate pronoun use consistent with students' birth sex. The lawsuit alleges violations of Title IX. The complaint filed with the Department of Education and the Office for Civil Rights claims the changes create a hostile environment for transgender and non-binary students.
This is the 6th complaint that's been filed across Wisconsin. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
The Bucks have a winning record. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks with a 124-114 win over the Wizards this weekend. So the Bucks now with a record of 10-9, thanks to a 6-game winning streak. I asked Giannis Antetokounmpo what's different about the team now after that 1-6 start to the season.
We know how to win games. The guys kept saying the same thing, like, doesn't matter, just win the game. Want to go watch film, be better.
College hoops, the Badgers open up their Big Ten schedule tomorrow night against Michigan at the Kohl Center. Wisconsin undefeated at 8-0. NFL, the Packers getting ready to play the Lions in Detroit this Thursday night. The Badgers football team not invited to a bowl game after their first losing season in 22 years. Where is this program at?
It's really tough to kind of say where we are. Obviously, we're not in a good place. We're 5-7, and really we're just not even playing well. We got a job to do. We got a job to prepare guys to get ready to play a game, and their job is to play the game. Unfortunately, we haven't done that for quite a while.
That's Badgers head coach Luke Fickell. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
Mostly cloudy with a few flurries this morning, gradually becoming partly cloudy by later this afternoon. Our high today 29, the wind northwest at 5 to 15. Tonight 17, tomorrow partly cloudy 29 on Wednesday, mostly cloudy, breezy with light snow and a high in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently it's 23.
This Giving Tuesday, Civic Media invites you to make a difference, help a neighbor, volunteer with a local organization, or support a Wisconsin nonprofit with a donation. Giving back starts right here in your community. Learn how you can make an impact today. Visit civicmedia.us. Civic Media, proud to support Giving Tuesday in the spirit of giving throughout Wisconsin. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
James Rundy.
I decided to throw off all my wild and crazy short film ways and make a straight up documentary about my uncle. He was one of the small time dairy farmers across the state that were kind of the backbone and why we got our state's name, America's Dairyland.
It was called The Last Milk. Have you ever milked a cow?
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious, but I'm scared to do it because I'm worried I might like it.
30 seconds.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Ross, Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with the outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 1 o'clock on this Monday, December 2nd, 2024. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. It is a great day to be a birthday boy. Happy birthday, Mr. Aaron Zommers.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to call upon the masses, the stars, and start singing and see what happens. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Aaron. Happy birthday to you. Turn the mics here, Zommers. Turn the mics. Look at that. Look at that. Come on.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Here we have the Civic Media staff and crew have joined me here live in the studio to wish you a very happy birthday.
I was wondering what you were doing with the microphones in there.
Well, I was just changing around. You can't get anything by this guy. You understand? All right. So here we have. look at Nana making birthday faces. This is great. All right. So here we have a birthday presentation. I will hand it over to our. Go ahead. What do you? Oh, all right. The present's being brought to you, Zombers. This is the office present being brought to you. Since, not everybody can see the stream. It's a beautiful brown bag with a little white tissue in it.
Or it's blue. It's blue.
Oh, I'm sorry,
But
blue.
let's see what we got here. Oh, boy. All right. Okay.
All right, just opening it up now. Look at this.
Chef Frog here. I'll hold it up for the camera if you can kind of see it. That's beautiful. Thank you very much.
And explain to people now why you got a frog.
So I have a ton of frog decorations. I started collecting I don't know how many years ago, because my youngest sister, Elena, one day just got me a little frog pin or something, and then it just kind of expanded from there and finding weirder and weirder frogs. Like I have one in a bikini at home. I've got
a frog in a bikini.
That's probably the weirdest
I didn't even know that was a thing.
There's also meditating frogs. There's like frog princes. That one might be a little more expected.
But do you have a chef frog?
I do now.
Now you do now. See? All right. Well, Keith, there's something I think. What else you got in there? Well, go ahead.
There's also a card with a gift certificate to I'm Bored, a board game store in Middleton.
There we go. Look at that. See, well done, everybody. Well done.
And a card, which should I look at the card now or should I look at the card
You can open it up. We don't have to read every name, but I mean, yeah. I'm not sure. It's not like the Academy Awards.
Yeah. Have a happy birthday.
Look at that. Well done. We appreciate you do so much for us as our senior producer. You're not just doing this show, but people listen to the Cripescast. You're doing all the editing for that, for Lost in the Middle. You do a lot of the promos here at the station, and every time somebody at the Racine and Waukesha studio have a guest here, you're usually setting them up. So there's a lot more that people don't see that you do for this company. And I just wanted to say publicly thank you. We have Sage, our CEO, is here. He's told me that he's giving you a $20,000 pay increase. So that's very nice. Wait a minute. I'm being fired. This will be the last Todd Allbaugh show. Now, Corey Hartman, our vice president.
usually it's a 50-cent off coupon to Dairy Queen, but we thought we'd up it a little this time.
Nice. I like that. Well, thank you, Aaron. On behalf of all of us here at Civic, hope you have a very happy birthday, and thanks for all you do for us.
Well, thank you. And thanks to all of you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you. Look at that. See, a little surprise, a little birthday surprise. That's good stuff, right?
Yeah,
you gotta take time for each other.
I didn't expect that. I didn't know what you were doing with the microphone, but I didn't expect that.
No, that's we just wanted to take time to say thank you. And thank you for all the staff and crew for coming in here and helping out. We appreciate it all.
The frog, for those of you who couldn't see it, it's a little stuffed frog. It has an apron, a chef hat, a knife, and a little mustache. I like the little mustache on the frog.
Yeah, it's a mustachioed frog. So anyway, but in all seriousness, thank you, Aaron. We really do appreciate you. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842 if you want to join in the Zommers festivities. Bob, listening down in beautiful Waukesha, home of WAUK. Bob, thanks for listening. What say you?
About Luke Pickle.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
The problem with the Badgers is, one, their offensive line wasn't as good as it's been in years past.
Mm-hmm.
And two, they haven't had a good quarterback since Russell Wilson. That Locke, he was a terrible quarterback, and you can't blame Longo. He gave Locke the plays, but Locke couldn't execute. He could hand the ball off, but any dummy, you and I could do that.
Well, I couldn't, but
he was.
Like
he was a regular.
Right.
I mean, he could make a long pass down the field one time, and then the next 6 passes, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
No, look, I get it. Go ahead.
All Fickle ever did was stand on the sidelines, chew gum. When he fired Longo, he should have taken over the play calling. He's the head coach, but he passed it off.
Right. Well,
I think he's a terrible coach.
Well, I appreciate your call, Bob. And again, this goes back to, we started this in hour one a little bit talking about. I went to the Wisconsin-Minnesota game this weekend, Wisconsin Badger football game at Camp Randall. Badgers lost the axe to Minnesota, finished the season first time in 22 years with a losing record, only 5 wins on the year. And Wisconsin football not in a good place. And yes, Bob, you're right. I mean, Luke Fickell, head coach, did fire Phil Longo, the offensive coordinator, a couple weeks ago. But I'm not sure that I just don't believe that you can put the blame on any one player. Yes, I mean, was Braden Locke? Remember, Tyler Van Dyke was supposed to be the number 1 QB this year, and he went down in second game of the season with an ACL, and so they had to move Braden Locke up. He was the next man up. And to your point, Phil Longo, I think it's the offensive coordinator's job to look at the talent pool that he has available on the roster and then adjust his offensive calls to what he has available. And I think for a lot of Badger fans, the frustration wasn't as much that Locke wasn't able to pull off the so-called air raid pass-heavy offense as it was that Phil Longo seemed to be reticent up until the Oregon game, was reticent to mix in any sort of an identifiable run game, which has always been the bread and butter for the most part of the Wisconsin Badgers ever since Barry Alvarez came here in the early 90s. And the fact that Phil Longo abandoned that by and large and then kept at it even when it wasn't working, I think that's what really frustrated a lot of Badger fans, and maybe even more so. And this is what really galled a lot of people over the weekend. PJ Fleck, who I've gone off on PJ Fleck enough on this show, I won't beat up on him right now. He's a very self-absorbed individual, in my opinion. But he spoke some truth in Madison on Saturday. But to paraphrase him, he said the toughest team won. And he was right, unfortunately. And I think that's what bothers a lot of Badger fans more than the win and loss column. It's the fact that a program like Wisconsin, who has prided itself for 25 plus years of being usually the toughest team, physically, mentally, work ethic on the team, on the field, has not been this year. And I'm not talking about Alabama and Oregon and Penn State. I'm talking about Iowa, Nebraska, and Minnesota. The heart of the former Big Ten West, which we had dominated for years. We're losing to them on toughness, on agility. That's the identity that I think a lot of Badger fans are upset with that has been lost. And from the outside, it appears there hasn't been a whole lot of urgency to change that on behalf of Fickell. So time will tell. Again, Fickell has a big contract. I read over the weekend, I think it's $33 million is what it would cost UW to buy him out if they fired him now. So most likely isn't going to happen. Reports are he's looking at the UNLV offensive coordinator to be the next offensive coordinator for Wisconsin. I think it's Marion Brennan, I believe is the guy's name. Then he has something called, we're going to go from the air raid offense to the so-called go-go offense. That's what Marion Brennan's offense is called. And apparently it combines a running and passing offense called the go-go offense.
Well, I hope the team wakes up before they go-go.
Nicely done. Allie, listening in Madison on WMDX, says the Badgers need Jim Leonard and a bigger front line. Well, yeah, there's a lot. Jim Leonard, of course, was the defensive coordinator here, won accolades, one of the best defenses in America. When Paul Chryst was head coach, a lot of people thought he would take over as head coach. UW athletic director Chris McIntosh passed him over to go get Fickell. Now, there were understandably a lot of hurt feelings. Is UW willing to pay enough to even have interest from Jim Leonard to be the next defensive coordinator? A lot of people aren't happy with the defense either, with Tressel. But would Jim Leonard want to, and could UW pay him enough? As I said, people like me have fantasized about, well, wouldn't it be great to bring Jim Leonard back as the head coach? In reality, because of the dollar signs, because of the money involved, probably not going to happen. Fickell will probably get at least a half a year more, if not a full third year. And then you have to ask yourself, how far will the program be gone at that point if they can't turn it around? And how much of that is the responsibility of Chris McIntosh, the athletic director? John Roach on this program said it best. And I agree with him. In today's name, like, image, and likeness world, Wisconsin simply doesn't have enough millionaires or billionaires that care enough about college football like Phil Knight does at Oregon to compete in the NIL world.
It's the same problem that the Brewers have had for a long time.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm fine winning 9-10 games consistently, going to a nice bowl game on New Year's Day, and occasionally competing for a Cinderella year of a national championship. But that's just me. Gonna come back, take more of your phone calls, switch gears to Joe Biden. After this, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media. Bring it up.
You gonna do the what's worse?
92.7
WMD.
I was going to say this is a great segue from Todd's call, but I guess I should have said something.
A mosh pit on the bridge that could happen. Oh, well, that's how the original series was. When they moved the camera,
I will know.
That was the mosh pit.
Yeah. And everybody had to fake
right.
Yeah,
lean left,
great.
lean right. Yeah. Join us for all the fun with Max Inc. on Saturday nights, 6 to midnight, across the Civic Media Radio Network and on the Civic Media app.
Listen to the John and Gordy Show weekdays right here on WMDX, sponsored by Verlo Mattress. Sleep better, dream bigger on a handcrafted, locally made mattress. Find them on Madison's East and West Side or online at verlo.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The John and Gordy Show.
Thanks, Joe, for giving us a call this morning.
I'm really not concerned about a trans woman being in the bathroom. Mike Johnson puts this through, right? But
I'm
then
not
he
seeing
says
anything on
the
that
person
last
who's in
text
charge
we
of
got.
Enforcing this will be the
But
sergeant.
I'm going to keep looking.
You weenie. You absolute weenie. You put this through and then you dump the enforcement on somebody else.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
If I
Are
see
we really
anything,
serious?
I'll send you an article.
Wes, to your point, we don't have news,
on
guys.
92.7
Yeah, at the moment we don't.
And the Civic Media app.
It's easy to listen to your favorite local radio station anytime. Download the Civic Media app.
You put the boom boom into my heart. You send my soul sky high when your loving starts. A jitterbug into my brain. It goes to bang 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 till my feet do the same. But something's bugging, something ain't right. My best friend told me what you did last night. You left me sleeping in my bed. I was dreaming, but I should have been with you instead. Wake me up before you go. Don't leave me hanging on like a yo-yo. Wake me
That's the
up.
Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 21 now, past the hour of 1 o'clock on Monday, December 2nd. Nicely done, little wham. Little wham, right?
Yeah, little wham with "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go" in honor of the Go Go offense. And also, it's just fun to hear some George Michael.
Absolutely. Sings our theme song, but always fantastic. All right, well, this was fantastic, by the way, Dave, the caller, because this feeds in exactly to our What's Worse today. So let's get right to it, Zombers. Here we go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that.
Welcome to another edition of What's Worse. No prize money to give away, no gifts of any sort, simply your ability to have your voices heard across statewide radio and on the internet around the world. What's Worse feeds right into what Bob was talking about. Badger football. Today is What's Worse, the Badger football team under Coach Luke Fickell or the Badger football team under Don Morton. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. This is trickier, in my opinion, than you might think. What's worse? What is worse? The Badger football team under Coach Luke Fickell, the current coach, or the Badger football team under Don Morton? Now, if you're not of a certain age, you're not going to get this. Don Morton came in. He was the coach in between longtime coach Dave McClain, which a lot of people loved. He achieved a little bit of success. I believe went to the Liberty Bowl at one point. But it wasn't, a huge national power. And Dave McClain, who by all accounts was a beloved individual, died suddenly of a heart attack. And so they went out and they hired a guy by the name of Don Morton, who brought in the Veer offense. And it did not go well. I remember watching the last game on television of the Don Morton era. They played Miami, who I believe was ranked number 1 or 2 in the country. It was very highly ranked, which was a big deal for the back in the day, late 80s, early 90s, for Badger football to be on national television because, there wasn't a bunch of all these different channels back then. And I remember specifically it was on ABC. And they showed Camp Randall Stadium about halftime, and it was literally half full. And they fired Dave McClain, and new Chancellor Donna Shalala had hired first Pat Richter from Oscar Mayer the CEO there, to be an alum of the Badger football team, as athletic director. And then Shalala and Richter went after Notre Dame defensive coordinator Barry Alvarez. And the rest is history. So I ask you, what's worse? The current Badger football coach, Luke Fickell, the Badger football team under Luke Fickell, or the Badger football team under Don Morton? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Eric in Madison, listening on WMDX, says, as a University of Michigan fan, I can only hope that Fickell is lured away to Ohio State.
That's the Ohio State to you?
The Ohio State University.
No, that's obnoxious.
Tony, watching on YouTube, says, I really have to believe Luke Fickell is going to turn it around with his incoming class of recruits. Now, Tony, I'm glad you bring this up because this is a regular refrain from the pro-Fickell crowd. I just don't think it holds as much water as some people because of the current situation we have with NIL and the transfer portal. I mean, it used to be, hey, you know, such and such a coach or program, look at this recruiting class they have. And once they signed their official letter, those kids were locked in. Because it used to be if you signed the letter of recruitment, that after that, if you withdrew and said you were transferring to another university, you had to sit out an entire year before you could play again at that new university. And now with the transfer portal and NIL, recruitment really doesn't mean anywhere near what it used to. You can have the best recruiting class in the world, and it can literally be gone overnight. Big booster from a different university comes in, offers a new car and something else, gone. There's very little actual commitment to programs anymore by a lot of these major college athletes. Tony says, I think they have immediate impact and draw in more recruits from NIL transfers because of the success. I'm sure a little bit. There's something to be said for the mojo. Oh, well, so-and-so from this university, from this high school, you know, or academy. Now, a lot of these big guys don't even go to high schools anymore. They go to academies that specialize in or high school level football to prepare you for D1 programs in college. I get that. And I guess if you could say, hey, look, you know what? In this one or two games, when we really executed our offense and our program the way that we see it going forward in the future, when we executed that well, we won. But I don't know that there's any time that you, in this entire 2-year span, where you could really point to that and say that's the case. Yes, number one undefeated Oregon came to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin led for a time. And could have, and maybe should have knocked them off. But that was the one game where they actually ran the ball more. There was very little air raid offense in that game. So I think that's the most disturbing part to me is I don't see, and again, I'm not coaching D1, I'm not coaching football at any level. But as a person who has called a lot of high school and D3 college games, watched a lot of football, and listened to people who have played at Wisconsin, the lack of identity, the lack of toughness, the lack of being able to prove that their system is going to work, and now they're blowing it up. Now they're getting rid of the air raid offense, and they got the Go-Go's coming in. Your phone calls and more. And what's worse, the Badger football team under Fickell or the Badger football team under Don Morton? 855-752-4842. Back after this.
Keith is going to call back in. He called, and I was like, all right, we got a break coming up, so it'll be a couple minutes. And he was like, well, my phone just started beeping. I have another call coming in, so I'll call back.
All right.
Unfortunate timing.
Entertained and connected locally across the Civic Media Network.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. The results are official. The November 5th election in Wisconsin has been certified. That means all county clerks have finished their canvassing, checking all the results to make sure they're accurate, and the Wisconsin Elections Commission has put their rubber stamp on those numbers. They show Donald Trump won the state by more than 29,000 votes. That's 0.9%. They also tell the story of Tammy Baldwin's narrow win. She eked out a victory with almost 29,000 votes. And David Prosser, a former Wisconsin Supreme Court justice, has died. That's according to state GOP leader Brian Schimming. Prosser was a Speaker of the Assembly for the GOP. In 1998, then Governor Tommy Thompson appointed him to a vacant seat on the state's highest court. In 2011, during debate over Wisconsin's Act 10 law, Prosser allegedly put Chief Justice Ann Walsh Bradley in a chokehold. A special prosecutor investigated, and there wasn't enough evidence to file charges, while the state's Judicial Ethics Commission couldn't act because 3 conservative members recused themselves. Prosser was 81 years old. And gas prices are dropping. They're now well below $3 in most of the state. Here's Melissa Kay.
Gas prices fell 8.3 cents over the last week. The average in Wisconsin today is $2.77 per gallon. This is 8.5 cents lower than a month ago and over 15 cents per gallon lower than this time last year. Areas around the Great Lakes may have seen prices go up just before traveling commenced around the Thanksgiving holiday. However, most of the nation saw prices holding stable or decline slightly, with the national average near the lowest level seen since 2021. Officials at Gas Buddy say the weeks ahead should feature slight drops in most areas. You should see gas for $2.99 or less through the holiday shopping season. Potential impacts from tariffs are something to watch for, though they would have no effect until late January if implemented at all.
Here in Dane County, the average today is $2.83. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Well, Glicked Weekend's box office haul turned out to be no match for that of Barbenheimer's, but it was still impressive and helped the holiday box office get off to a great start. As expected, Wicked landed in the top spot with a take of $114 million, more than doubling Gladiator 2's haul of $56 million at the gate. Gladiator 2, directed by Ridley Scott and starring Paul Mescal, Connie Nielsen, Denzel Washington, and Pedro Pascal, was never expected to be the top dog, as it was always Oppenheimer to Wicked's Barbie. Wicked slightly exceeded expectations with its box office haul, whereas Gladiator 2 came in just under its expectations. This is becoming a trend in Hollywood where 2 films coming out at the same time were not necessarily competing against each other, but help each other create a social media phenomenon. Landing in 3rd place in week 2 of its release was Red One with $13 million. Rounding out the top 5 were Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Spy, Assassin, and the resilient Venom, The Last Dance, which came in 5th place with $4 million. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba.
I watched a really
weeknights from
bad
6 to
movie
8 p.m. on the
on
Civic Media
on Friday.
Radio Network.
It's called
You can
Hot
always
Frosty.
continue the conversation on social
I've
media.
heard, is that good?
Share your
No.
thoughts when
I
you
heard it
find
was
and
good.
follow Civic Media on Facebook.
It was fun. It was fun to watch.
Sommer says he is not a Hot Frosty
this morning.
fan.
It was
it's,
fun
it's
to
a
watch.
big movie right now.
It was fun to watch, but I wouldn't call it good. They're different things.
It was Frosty without pants.
Tomorrow, partly cloudy.
I heard.
Briefly, yes.
Wednesday, mostly cloudy, breezy. With
So
light
basically,
snow and
yeah,
a high
there's
in the
it's a
mid-40s.
town
I'm
that
meteorologist
makes
Sean Cagle.
like one of their big
Temperature
things
now
is making really
24.
good snow sculptures in the winter, and they make
Shot
one
Social
of just
Club,
some
a
hot guy.
perfect blend of cool, casual
And then
dining, indoor golf with space for
the main
events.
character,
Cocktails
the main character has
and
a
non-alcoholic
scarf that
drinks
turns
too.
out is
A hidden
magic.
gem
She
on
didn't realize it,
Madison's
and puts
East
it on him.
Side.
She's like,
Black
I
Shot
don't want
Social
this
Club,
scarf that
open
some
to
person
everyone.
gave me, and
Black
wraps
Shot
it around him.
Socialclub.com.
And he comes to life and starts
prepared for an
running
emergency or
around
disaster?
naked.
It's not a matter of if, but when. Don't
That's
find
great.
yourself
And
saying,
When the
crazy
storm rolls
things
in,
happen.
my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
It was a fun watch.
scorching heat wave will
yeah.
leave me powerless to
I
clean
love
my
bad
hands.
movies,
I'll
so
face
a hurricane without meds.
when I call it bad,
Now,
keep
that's
that
a
in
tough
mind.
pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Missed your favorite.
There's only 2 types of people in the world. The ones that entertain and the ones that observe. Well, baby, I'm a put on a show kind of girl. Don't like the back seat, gotta be first. I'm like
Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, 34 past the hour of 1 o'clock on Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Britney Spears, Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Zommers. In addition to Brittany Merlot and Chad Holmes.
It's
And
interesting.
a cast of others all celebrating birthdays today.
With Brittany and I, it's particularly funny
With Brittany and I.
because Brittany Merlot and Britney Spears,
Oh,
Aaron
yeah.
Rodgers and Aaron Zommers.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
So we have celebrity birthday matches with the same name, although Brittany is
Whoa.
spelled a little different.
Whoa, that's big stuff. Before we go on, this is a Civic Media Entertainment breaking news update. Mr. Aaron Zommers, the birthday boy, has seen Hot Frosty, which is taking the internet by storm. This is the holiday movie of the year. It's streaming, right? Is it Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Hot Frosty.
Is it taking the internet by storm? Then you knew that, and I didn't.
Yes.
I hadn't heard of it.
It's everywhere. And you, Aaron Zommers, have seen the movie over the weekend. Give us a hot take on Hot Frosty.
So yeah, my youngest sister had some friends over and was like, "Hey, we're gonna watch Hot Frosty. You should join us." And I was like, "What's that?" And then watched it with them. It's not good, but it is fun.
He throws this out here in the middle of the break. Understanding, he goes, "Yeah, I saw Hot Frosty. It's terrible." I'm like,
I didn't
wait,
say it's terrible.
What?
I
You
said it's bad.
You said it's bad. I'm like, what? Wait, stop. You didn't like Hot Frosty, and then when you say when it is entertaining.
Yes, it was fun to watch. I love bad movies.
All right.
And this is very much, a Hallmark movie or a Lifetime movie. So
But
if
it's
you
on
watch those,
Netflix.
you know what to expect. Yeah, it's on Netflix. And, it's a town that specializes in making really good snow sculptures. They make one of a hot guy looking like, the Michelangelo's David. And then it gets a magic scarf put on it by the protagonist. And he starts streaking when he's alive.
Because the snowman, literally snowman, comes to life. And of course, snowmen don't wear pants. And so when he comes to life, apparently he's butt-ass naked.
Yeah, then he breaks into a store and steals some clothes because he doesn't know that's wrong because he was literally born yesterday.
So it's kind of an adult take on Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah, it's
Hot
not
Frosty.
inappropriate. Children could watch it.
They could.
Yeah.
All right.
You won't see anything.
People are talking about this movie. Hot Frosty. And I saw an interview, and the guy who plays Frosty he's a hot dude. So,
Well, that's the idea. LA Tom texted in, Todd, maybe you can watch Hot Frosty while you Netflix and chill.
Well, that's always a possibility. So you were watching, just to clarify, though, you were watching Hot Frosty. You were not Netflixing and chilling.
Correct. That'd be really weird because I was watching it with my sister.
All right. Well, I just thought people would want that quick holiday entertainment update, and if Pete Schwab wants to use this portion on his show or you could go on Schwab's show Nightlight
let him
tonight
know
at
and I
6
could review
o'clock, and you could do a quick review.
Yeah, and I can give specific reasons. I will say the things that are bad are like the visual effects and things like the snow people look like styrofoam.
Oh, that's
like,
not good.
It's just there's stuff that's
It's
not
cheap.
good about it.
It's
cheap, but it's a fun movie.
But it's a
I do
fun
recommend it.
holiday romp.
Yes.
All right. There's your hot take on Hot Frosty as a public service to you here at the Todd Allbaugh Show. All right, let's finish this up. We were asking what's worse, the Badger football team under Luke Fickell or the Badger football team under Don Morton. Jim, listening in Appleton on WGBW, says, in my opinion, Fickell is worse. Morton took a team that was hovering in the middle of the pack and mostly kept them there. Fickell took a top 20 team and drove it into the ground. I would basically agree with Jim. I think that if you just look at the quality of football being played on the field, I think you still have to say that the Morton era football team on the field was worse. But if you look at overall what's worse, the football team under Fickell, the football team under Morton, I would agree with Jim that this is worse because to Jim's point, there was a 25-year history of winning pretty consistently and an identity. So pure football on the field, Morton was worse. But overall, I think the feeling as a fan is worse on this. And if you're one of those people that are paying out primo dollars for the South End Zone, it's really worse now. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Robert listening in Richland Center on WRCE, says, happy birthday, Aaron. So there you go.
Thank you, Robert. And there are a few others who we haven't called out on air, but I see all them, and I appreciate everybody texting in with birthday wishes.
People, they are very, they're very, very appreciative of you, as we are as well, Zombers. So
And I'm appreciative of them listening.
Absolutely. All right, I want to get to this. Don't want to avoid it because I think it is a couple of people a little incredulous, asking why I would even bring this up. Well, it's number one, it's news, and number two, I think it's important that we talk about. I listened to our friend Matt Rothschild was filling in for Jane Matnair of Matnair on Air. She and Greg went to a spa, I understand, today. So we're looking forward to talking about that tomorrow on the show. I'm going to be on Matt on Air tomorrow at 10:30. I'll ask him about Jane and Greg's spa date today. Anyway, Rothschild was filling in, and I pretty much agree with Matt Rothschild on this. So if you haven't heard, over the weekend, last night, as a matter of fact, President Joe Biden released a statement saying that he was pardoning his son, Hunter. I'm not going to read the entire statement. You can find it online. It's not all that long. But, I mean, it's in my opinion, I don't want to say it's legalese because it's not really legalese. Basically, what he's saying is, look, I'll read this directly. Quote, from the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on a felony charge solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those people who are late paying taxes because of a serious addiction, but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It's clear that Hunter was treated differently. So in case, again, very quickly, large, 30,000-foot level here, Hunter Biden admitted, it's well known, that he went through a serious time in his life where he went through addiction. By all accounts, he's been sober now for 6-7 years, I think. So it was during this time when he was addicted to drugs that he filled out a form allegedly to buy a gun, or after that, and forgot to put or didn't put on there that he had a conviction. And then he was late paying federal taxes on a large scale, but ended up paying them back with interest and with penalties. And so this came before the courts. There was a plea deal arranged. The judge didn't like it because they thought it was letting Hunter Biden off light. So they went to trial. Hunter Biden was found guilty on this stuff. And so now there's a sentencing coming up. And so Biden had said during the election that he would not do this. He would not pardon his son, that he was going to stay out of the justice system. And now, on reflection, he has said, look, here, I'll read directly again. This was Joe Biden's letter. Quote, the charges in this case came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. That a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's case can reach any other conclusion that Hunter was singled out only because he was my son, and that is wrong. So that's essentially his reason for changing his mind. Saying that, and look, legal experts from both sides or people who are nonpartisan have said, if you or I would have done the things that Hunter Biden did and had paid the prices literally and figuratively that he had, that the sentencing or the resolution would not have been the same for you or I. That's fairly agreed upon. But the fact that he was Biden's son singled him out. So, and remember, Joe Biden's a guy who lost his wife and daughter in a car accident, lost his oldest son, Beau, to cancer after serving overseas in the military, being a victim of these burn pits where he got cancer and died. Joe Biden's been through a tremendous amount of loss. And if you pause and reflect for a moment and take the politics and everything else out of it, if you just look at it from a human component, a dad and his kid, and saying, you know what, he has paid the price on this stuff quite a bit, and now he's being singled out because he's my son. And I have the ability to take this from him, this burden. I think if any of us would put ourselves in the shoes of Joe Biden, you could find compassion and say, look, I get it. I mean, at 81 years old, I mean, none of us know if we're going to live tomorrow. But at 81, Joe Biden's a lot closer to the end of his life than the beginning. And he probably figures, however much time I have, I don't want to be thinking about my son sitting in prison when I could have, stopped that. So I get the reason why he did it. But you also, I think, have to look at this from a perceived political situation. And it's also kind of the ostrich burying its head in the sand to say, well, this shouldn't matter. It does. The sitting president of the United States said that he wouldn't do this. The sitting president of the United States said that he wasn't going to interfere with the Justice Department. And he has made the decision to pardon his son. Look, he has the right to do that. I get that as a dad. I mean, I'm not a dad, but I'm just saying at that relationship, parent and child. But to somehow think that this isn't going to have political ramifications is just naive. Because now it gives the right, who doesn't exactly deal in truth, the ability to construe this. And here's the magic. Whether we want to admit it or not, the magic of the right is that they base a lot of things. They base them in nuggets of truth. So they could take this politically and use it as justification for why Trump has already pardoned people that certainly don't deserve it. And now he said he's going to pardon all the January 6th insurrectionists. And Trump can say, hey, I didn't pardon anybody in my family. He pardoned his son-in-law's dad. It's politically very messy. And just like the election, and we're going to talk about this before the show ends, Ben Wickler running for DNC chair, because he's hit on something. It's not so much I've come to believe this, that Democrats didn't do poorly. Again, there are exceptions like Tammy Baldwin in state legislature, but from Harris down to other races, it wasn't that the economy was in the toilet. It wasn't that gas prices were through the roof. It wasn't that grocery prices were through the roof. It was the perception of all those things. And some of it, there are nuggets of truth. But it's the perception. And the lesson that I learned early in politics is that perception is reality. That in politics, the truth often does not matter when it comes to campaigns. It's how people perceive things. And how the public perceives what Joe Biden has done, and how the right amplifies it, and the fact that conservative media has a huge lead and jump on progressive media, this is only going to grow. So I don't disagree with what Joe Biden did as a dad, but I don't think he did his party or other Democrats any favors. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. We're going to take your phone calls on the other side. Gene and Troy stay on the line. As Matt Flynn likes to see, we see you on the lines. Do not hang up. More of your phone calls after this. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show right here on the Civic Media. We're ready to go.
Great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear, Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies.
Let's
you
come
need.
back with breaking
That's where Grainger
news
comes in.
music.
With over 1 million
I just
industrial
got
grade
the thing on
products and
Act 10
fast,
stuff,
dependable
so
delivery,
I'll do that
Grainger
quick,
carries the
like
quality
1 minute,
products he
and then
needs
I'll say
so
the
he doesn't have
Civic
to.
Media News
From
Special
a new
Report,
door hinge to
and
a
then
whole new faucet. Call
we'll go back.
clickgrainger.com or just stop by.
You can play the
Grainger,
special
for the
report
ones
music out,
who
and
get
I'll
it
come
done.
back in for the show.
Right.
Football season is back, and Gabriel the Promoter is ready to help you get the party started. Celebrate in style by booking a $100 round-trip party bus shuttle from Madison to Lambeau Field, complete with all-you-can-drink Miller Lite. Tickets to the game are not included. Don't miss out on the ultimate green and gold experience. Book your spot now. Brought to you by Gabriel Promotes and sponsored by Baldwin Street Grill. Call Gabriel the Promoter today, 414.
What source are you using, just so I can put an article
While spots are still
Channel
available.
3000.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. As Democrats pick up the pieces from their loss to Donald Trump, one of the first major decisions the party will be making is to select its new chair. The race for that role might just have a major Wisconsin connection. Ben Wickler, the chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, is a potential candidate for chair of the DNC. A source close to Wickler said he is seriously considering running. One Democratic source characterized Wickler as a Goldilocks candidate for the position. He's liked by both centrists and progressives, big dollar donors and grassroots organizers, and knows how important state parties around the country can be in a second Trump term. So, could he be just right for the role? The vote for DNC chair is scheduled for February 13th. A lot can happen between now and then.
And good afternoon, everybody. This is Todd Allbaugh in the Civic Media Newsroom. Now, 9 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock on Monday, December 2nd, we have breaking news to bring to you. According to Channel 3000, the local CBS affiliate here in Madison, a Dane County judge this afternoon has ruled to strike multiple parts of Wisconsin's controversial 2011 Act 10 legislation, restoring collective bargaining rights for some, keyword some, political sector employees. Judge Jacob Frost wrote in an initial decision this July that parts of the law were unconstitutional, specifically the portions prohibiting unions representing general employees, but not public safety employees, from collectively bargaining for any benefits outside of raises that would be capped to inflation. Frost wrote in his July ruling that there was, quote, no rational basis, unquote, for how the legislators differentiated between general employees and public safety employees in the law. For example, he argued that attorneys for the legislature could not make a substantial case for why state troopers would be considered public safety employees, but Capitol and University of Wisconsin police should not. In his ruling today, Frost wrote that because those parts of the law are unconstitutional, that they must be stricken. Additionally, he wrote that he could not strike the definition of quote-unquote public safety employee while leaving the rest of the law in place. Reading now from the judge's decision, quote, neither this court, the Court of Appeals, nor the Supreme Court can decide how we believe the legislature should act. 1 second here, catching up, or whether should have, but did not define the word public safety, or the phrase public safety employee group, Frost wrote. We cannot decide who should be included or excluded absent guidance from the legislature as to its lawful policy choices. Additionally, Frost ruled to strike down portions of Act 55 that pertain to the difference between general employees and public safety employee groups laid out in Act 10. Under then-Governor Scott Walker, Act 10 was meant to stabilize Wisconsin's budget in the 2010s. It led to massive protests in the state capitol, and some would argue to a creation of a two-class public and private education system in K through 12. Again, breaking news at this hour, a Dane County judge has ruled that to strike down multiple parts of Wisconsin's controversial Act 10 legislation from 2011, restoring collective bargaining rights for some, keyword some, public employees. Civic Media News will continue to follow this and update you as the situation warrants. Again, for now, I'm Todd Allbaugh in Civic Media Newsroom. Stay tuned for more on this from Civic Media News. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media News. I got to change gears. The Civic Media Radio Network, 5 before the hour of 2 o'clock. Stay tuned. Maggie Dawn is next across all of these stations. Want to go quickly to the phone lines, get these calls in. 855-752-4842. Gene in Eau Claire. Gene, thanks for calling back. What say you?
Hi, I just had a quick call with my 2 cents worth on the pardon. Personally, as an independent my entire life, I think it shows strength, compassion, forgiveness. And he listened to a lot of us that caused the president's line where you can call and leave a message for the president. And I strongly believe that he should be pardoned. Nobody on this earth has been put through what this guy has been put through by the Congress of the United States of America, showing nude pictures on the floor, going after him almost daily. And this guy has been through more than anybody I've ever seen, and he's a recovering addict, and God darn it, he deserves that pardon. I don't care if he's the president's son or enemy or anything. That guy was put through HLL for political purposes, and we can't keep that up in our country. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree, but Gene, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but don't you also think that politically that there are going to be ramifications for this?
Absolutely not. God darn, it's about time people start standing up to the BS that's being utilized to manipulate people.
I disagree with you, Gene. I think there are going to be political ramifications. 855-752-4842. Troy in Mount Horeb. Troy, thanks for calling in. What say you?
You know, I agree with Gene 100%, and I wish he'd have pardoned Hunter the day after the election. If people can't tell the difference between Hunter Biden and Steve Bannon or the rest of these people, then I can't help them anyways. So politically, there might be a small blip, but I think that'll be forgotten in the end.
Yeah, and it might be. I mean, especially in today's news cycle. I mean, if I would have been on Biden's team, I would have said, do this on New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve. I announced it at 5 o'clock.
That would have been good too. Yep.
5 o'clock on Christmas Eve. Look, it's the season of forgiving. You do it then, and it's not. I just don't get why you do it now. But again, Joe Biden hasn't been exactly great with his timing this year of making announcements. But appreciate you, Troy. Thank you so much. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. I had to get the breaking news in there. Get a Dane County judge striking down multiple parts of Act 10. It's going to be very important to figure out what parts were stricken, and then eventually, most likely, this is going to go to the state Supreme Court. So lots going on there, and how this impacts the spring Supreme Court race. All this yet to be determined. Talk more about Ben Winkler tomorrow. Sorry, we ran out of time on that, but I think he's a good one. He's done a great job in Wisconsin, and it'll be great to see him be the National Democratic Chair. Great show today. Appreciate you all for calling in. Thank you to Zommers. Happy birthday, my friend, once again. Thank you to the Civic Media crew for stopping by. Luke Mathers in tomorrow on the program. Look forward to welcoming him for Tuesday Tangents with Luke. Tell Allbaugh, say whatever you believe in, whatever you're fighting for. Do not give up. Keep banging on your drum. Talk to you tomorrow.
Banging on your drum, and they will hear you.
All right. Adios, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.